Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 3 Wide. I'm your host, Radney Crawford. It was an interesting race today in NASCAR's second time at the Chicago Street Course, where Alex Bowman got the win, snapping an 80-race winless streak and officially locking in all four Hendrick drivers into the playoffs. But before we dive into that win, I wanted to discuss Shane Van Gisbergen. Last year, Shane won in his first career NASCAR start, as well as the first Chicago Street Course race. And while he was given credit for running a great race and being a good driver, some wrote it off as just being the perfect storm of it being the first race on a street course, which he's used to. NASCAR drivers were not, as well as the weather playing a factor in the reason that he won. Saying that this wouldn't have happened if the race had been run at Sonoma or Watkins Glen. There was so much conversation about how this could have happened, or should we be embarrassed as a sport that this guy just comes in and dominates, that it became an embarrassment. Now, fast forward 1 year later, and SVG is one of the top road course racers in the sport. He looked to be in contention to go back-to-back at Chicago until getting taken out by spinning Chase Briscoe, and he is currently leading the Xfinity playoff standings with 3 wins, all at road courses, including Sonoma. He's also scored a couple of top 10s on ovals, including the championship finale track, Phoenix Raceway. SVG has done well adapting to the ovals, and he continues to dominate on the road courses. And given how the Xfinity Series playoff schedule falls, I believe he should be looked at as a dark horse contender for the championship, especially with tracks still to come like Watkins Glen, Indianapolis, and Daytona, where he can gain even more playoff points. And when SVG makes the move to the Cup Series, the field and those who wrote off his win at Chicago as just a perfect storm better be prepared. Hunt to Harvest is back to support another season of 3 Wide, and to tell you a little about them, they are a brand created to protect the hunt and to get back to the basics and the real reason for the hunt. They're a brand that supports the harvesting of the animal instead of just focusing on the trophy. To Hunt to Harvest, hunting is all about spending time with loved ones, providing for your family through the harvest, and giving thanks to the one who created all things. And you too can support this great mission and company by going to hunttoharvest.com and updating or upgrading your hunting apparel. They now have several new shirt designs, and these shirts are made out of 100% Peruvian cotton, true to size after one wash. They also have new rope hats in, but they are moving fast, so you better get your order in quick. And you can do that by heading over to hunttoharvest.com, and when you go to checkout, be sure to use the promo code RADNEY18923. That's RADNEY18923 for even more savings at checkout, and you can do this all at hunttoharvest.com. As for Sunday's winner, Alex Bowman, he continues to get wins in the most unconventional ways. This time it included a race that was delayed by protesters, weather, and ended not by distance, but instead by a countdown clock due to darkness. Bowman and crew chief Blake Harris made the call to stay out on wet tires along with several others on a drying track. Bowman was able to get around Joey Hand to get his 8th career victory, the first since his back injury last season. Bowman also had to deal with a hard-charging Tyler Reddick on the last lap. Reddick was running slick tires and able to run much faster than Bowman. Unfortunately for Reddick, he cut a corner too short, making contact with the wall, ending any chance he had at getting the victory. You could see Reddick was dejected yet again for the second straight week in his post-race interview. And while I do hate it for Reddick, he had a great opportunity to get this huge win for his co-owner Michael Jordan while running a paint scheme commemorating Jordan, his brand, and his time with the Chicago Bulls. I am thrilled for Alex Bowman. With this win, it gets a lot of pressure off of his shoulders and hopefully will silence those discounting him as a Hendrick Motorsports driver. Then after the checkered flag, you have Bubba Wallace, who was still upset after getting hit by Alex Bowman on lap 24, show his displeasure by putting Bowman into the wall while he was celebrating the victory. Now, Bowman did apologize in his post-race interview to the 23 team, and he later said in the post-race press conference that he'd be mad too if he was Bubba, and that he had been embarrassed about what happened ever since it happened. And he even tried calling Bubba during the rain delay and did send him a text. As far as penalties go, Bowman says Bubba should not face any punishment, saying he barely hit me, everything's fine, and it was well deserved. I've yet to see a comment from Bubba on the incident, but of course this sent social media into a frenzy, with many calling for penalties against Bubba, like we saw against Carson Hocevar after Hocevar spun out Harrison Burton under caution last week at Nashville. Now, you do have some who are saying no punishment needed, that this is nothing new. And of course, you have those saying we all know the real reason why Bubba is facing so much outcry over this. Look, I have no problem with drivers showing their displeasure if it's coming up to their back bumper, tapping them on the side, as long as it's not done in a reckless way. What Hocevar did last week to Harrison Burton, that was done in a reckless way. What Kyle Busch did to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the All-Star race, that was done in a reckless way. My main wonder with this whole situation is, given what happened to Hocevar last week and the penalties that was given to him, does NASCAR now feel like they're in a corner where they have to react to what Bubba did to send a consistent message? My only problem with what Bubba did, how he showed his displeasure, was, he put Bowman into the wall pretty hard. Bowman's window net was down. I don't know about his belts. I couldn't tell that from the in-car camera. But let's just play the what-if game and say Bowman was waving to the crowd. And Bubba hits Bowman into the wall like that. That could lead to a very serious problem. You also have to take a look at Bubba's history. Bubba has not always used the best judgment when it comes to confronting other drivers. Go back to the Roval when Bubba and Bowman had been going at it all day, spinning each other out, flipping each other off. That was a race Bubba had a right to be mad. Bubba goes down to confront Alex, and he's on the ground getting attended to by paramedics, and Bubba then proceeds to throw his water, Powerade, whatever it was, all over Bowman and the paramedics. It's not a smart move. Then you look at the deal with Larson at Las Vegas. You spin Larson head on into the wall, and then go walk across the track, shove Larson into the car a few times while we're in the middle of a problem with this next-gen car and it concussing other drivers. While I wouldn't count this as reckless, I do believe it lacked wisdom, especially knowing now that Bowman had tried to reach out to Bubba during the rain delay and apologize. It doesn't help Bubba's case either. I do believe if anything comes out of it, it would be a monetary fine. I don't think it's bad enough you should take points away from Bubba, but I do believe NASCAR will do something to try and send a message. And I've said it before, if you have an issue with another driver, wait until afterwards and settle it on pit road or between the haulers if you have to. Keep the pit crews out of it, let the drivers handle it, and move on. And that'll wrap up today's episode. Thank y'all for joining me and watching along. If you haven't done it already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you will know when our new videos drop, including our weekly Drivers to Watch List shorts. You can also find the links in the description below to my Instagram page, Facebook, and Twitter, also to our sponsor, Hunt to Harvest. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week, and we'll see y'all next time here on 3 Wide.